Okay, so this here is what is left after a heat wave on my sunflower. It was looking much better all of last week, but that's what it is today. Temperatures of upwards of around 100 degrees have definitely put a beating on it. Down here we've got two brand new cantaloupe plants. That one there's actually still got part of the seed on it. So that's one and that's the other. These here are just finishing up my little miniature red onions. I never transferred them to another thing, so they stayed small. But they taste just like onions and they're pretty cool. Back here we've got some carrots. Once again, I haven't actually bothered to transplant them. Mostly because I'm planning on leaving this apartment soon, so I'm trying to keep things to a minimum right now. These here are my marigolds. I've got 3 of them over here and 1 of them over there. These guys are actually supposed to be pest control. They're supposed to keep bugs away, but unfortunately I've had a series of grasshoppers that keep coming through, and I'll find them every so often. This one here was the latest victim actually, but it's started to regrow now, but the things will chop off all of the leaves and leave just the stem and like maybe half a leaf, and somehow they've managed to survive. These here are my apple trees. They're used to being on an angle, so you can see that. But yeah, those are my apple trees. I think there's like 6 of them in there. The beans are all done, so I've mulched all of them to let them rot into the soil. There's still one here growing, but it's already done its season, so I'm just basically waiting to pull it up. And allowing it to be like a decoy rather, for any critters that come a-looking. These here are my aloe plants. They're doing a lot better now than they were when I first got them. They definitely didn't look like they were going to survive at first, but if you look down there, I've got some new sprouts coming in. It's kind of hard to see both of them, but there are 2 of them. So yeah, those are my aloe. So here's one of my mulberry bushes, and there's some mulberries. The bees weren't real active when the flowers were out, apparently, so it only pollinated a couple of them, so only a couple of them got berries. These here are my strawberries that took me forever to get something to grow. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3 runners, and then the main plant in the middle. And basically, I did everything from strawberry slices to frozen seeds that I stripped off of strawberries that I bought at the supermarket, and finally I went out and bought a freaking kit that was supposed to be strawberries, and eventually those seeds did work out and they grew. So eventually I did get these, but I had a heck of a time trying to get them to germinate in the first place. But once they started growing, they only stayed, maybe that big for a long time until I transferred them into this, and I mixed them with my soil. My soil has homemade bone meal, store-bought blood meal, because my neighbors will probably think I'm odd if they see me out here bleeding chickens in the front yard and drying their blood up. So yeah, but those are both really good for it. I also use rock dust and a few other things too that are really good. All of them natural and all of them chemical free, or not toxic chemical, you know. This over here is my pepper bush. I believe they're jalapenos, and if you notice, I've got one giganto one right here, and getting closer you see 1, 2 more right there, a third right there. Over on this plant here, we've got another one. I'm thinking they might actually be 2 different kinds, and there's a couple buds in here too. There's one in the center there and one in the center right there. So those might turn into more of them. But, so yeah. Here's my Swiss chard. She's taken a beating. I've got like 5 or 6 plants in particular that take a real beating from the hot weather. So this is one of them, and I'll show you the others in a minute. Here is my corn. As you can see, my popcorn has started to put out pollen. The only problem is that there are no ears to pollinate. So I'm thinking that it's because I've got them in such a small container, and they're probably root bound, which is also probably why they're so small. They're only about The tallest one is about 4 foot tall. So then we've got over here some elephant garlic. They basically look like leeks, and they're growing. This garlic over here didn't do so well. It did great for a while, but then I started using the tips here, and I was cooking with those, and that was really good. Oh yeah, there's one more in the back corner there. I believe that container there is all basil and oregano. There's some cucumbers in there as well, but I don't think any of those ones sprouted. Over here we got some echinacea. Those are growing. Probably going to be time to transplant those soon. Oh yeah, I can see roots on the bottom. I don't know if you can or not, but there's roots on the bottom, so I need to transplant that before they get too tangled down there. These here are my peanuts. This is growing quite well, and to be honest, I'm thinking it's about time to dig them up. There's probably plenty of peanuts down there. This one and this one will both be, well, I don't remember what's in them, but one of them's elephant garlic. I've got a new elephant garlic started here. There's 3 in this pot and 3 in that bucket back there. And one of these other buckets has got 3 more in them, and the other one has buckwheat. In either case, though, what happened with those was when I planted these ones over here, they shot up pretty quickly. Difference is that is a 6-inch deep container, and these are obviously 5-gallon buckets. Now, these ones, I went 2.5 months and didn't see any action on the surface, and so I was about to plant something else in there, and I dug it up, and I pulled up a clove that had a huge root system under it. So instead, I reburied it all, let it go back, and apparently they are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, which is not what my first garlics did. But these guys, they build their root system first, and it takes them a long time, and then they put up leaves. Another bonus to that for them is that being that they are elephant garlic, they've got effectively a huge clove to feed on this whole time while they're waiting for that. So they don't need to worry about getting leaves out to make their own food source or anything. And back here's a second mulberry bush. Those were cuttings, actually, that I just kind of ripped out of the ground at somebody's house. This back here, I'm not entirely sure what it is, I forgot now. But it's some kind of a bulb. There was actually 15 bulbs in there, but only one of them ever grew. So this here is basil. It's actually flowered. This one here was an extra plant. I had a whole bunch of them all in a container. And I thinned them out, and by thinning them out, I yanked one out by the roots, and it had enough roots on it that I just stuck it into that bucket, and sure enough, it grew. One of my earlier marigold victims is right here. This, if you see that tiny little leaf right there, that whole plant got eaten by a grasshopper one night, and he left only that little half a leaf. That's one of the seed leaves that it originally put out, and only half of that leaf was left. And so I put it up on the railing up here, and I let it grow for a little while, and sure enough, it managed to come back to life, just like the other one over there is going to do. And it finally came back to life, and there's a little wasp over there, so I'm going to stand up. But, so yeah, that actually grew. Those are the petite marigolds. My 2 prides are this zucchini plant here, if you look, the size of that leaf there. And if you notice, across the street over there, that door, there's some stuff over there. They've actually been growing zucchini as well, and their leaves are about a third, maybe even a quarter of the size of mine. So mine are actually doing a whole lot better, and I can tell by the soil that they're using that they're actually using a lot of chemical fertilizers and Miracle-Gro, and it's not doing any justice for these plants, but that's because Miracle-Gro is good for flowers, but not for vegetables. Here is my lettuce. This here, I think this is the Grand Rapids. I'm not really sure. The stakes have all fallen out. Oh no, this here was the Grand Rapids over there. So this here is Crispy Frills. This one hasn't done very well. It does not like the heat. It wilts every single day. And you might be able to see the hole right there because it's right underneath the eaves. So every time it rains, it takes a beating. However, this must be the I don't remember what kind it is.